Good morning and welcome to SimWorld today. I hope everybody had a lovely holiday weekend as we are here on July 7th. We got Siege back in the booth. Siege, happy July. Peak
July.
summer.
Yep, yep.
It's peak summer. It's also the end of the entertainment of the SWBA off season. Summer League will come and go with little fanfare. I don't personally pay too much attention to it all, so I don't think we'll have too much to report on it. It's nice to watch, but that's pretty much it.
Great
But
highlights. Always great highlights in the summer league. Always.
highlights and that's about it. Because you can look into it and you can confirm your suspicion about a player, and that's about it. That doesn't make it correct, and that's pretty much what summer league offers. But you're a Bucks fan, and so I know I've talked to multiple people about this. I'm curious where you sit with, we've had about a week now to digest the Miles Turner acquisition and the waiving and the stretching of $23 million of Damian Lillard. What is your take on this? Because I don't think we've had you on a platform to give it.
Oh, I'll tell you what, Marsh. I'm glad you've opened this can of worms. I have a lot to say.
Let's
And
hear
it,
it.
it starts. We'll go back. We'll go back to where my Bucks fandom began.
Okay.
Growing up in the state of Alabama without professional basketball, I was a guy to. I had my favorite players, and I became fans of their teams. That started my OG team. My first SWBA team was the Orlando Magic with Dwight Howard. I was a big Dwight Howard guy.
Okay.
When he left, I stuck around as a Magic fan pretty exclusively. But I followed his career the rest of the way. Big Dwight Howard guy, had a jersey for every team he played for. I saw a rumor. I don't know if it's real or not. Maybe you can confirm it. That maybe he's going to the Warriors. But either
Is
way,
he? Oh God.
I can't trust any of these social media accounts these days. So I have no idea. Um, but I'll tell you what, it was similar with Giannis. I liked his name. I liked his highlights, and it's probably my biggest gamble ever to say I'm a fan of this guy. And when he got drafted, I booked it with the Bucks. I said I'm a Bucks fan now. Um,
Okay.
I got a lot of terrible years. It paid off with that championship, and obviously my investment in the young man from Greece has, it goes without saying, has been a huge return on investment in that sense. He's been better than anyone could ever dream of. Um, here's where my issue has lied with Milwaukee for the past couple of years since getting that title. Um, Milwaukee has never really built a young roster around him. What they've done time and time again is they kind of have gotten older guys, and it's great that Chris Middleton was with him and got rid of Middleton, and that was sad to see him go. Um, but they have never built a team around Giannis to grow with Giannis as much as they have just said, let's go get pieces to try to win this year every year since they
Mm-hmm.
won it. The Bucks have consistently been the oldest roster in the league, or if not the very oldest, one of the oldest rosters in the league. Have been terrible on their draft picks, cannot draft to save their life. Um, I don't think they've had a first round draft pick that's hit since Giannis, to be honest. Um, they had one that was okay, but it was terrible drafting. Have gotten themselves in a salary nightmare by bringing in Dame, which again it was cool, and it was like maybe we'll win one with Dame, like okay. Um, but I was saying ever since the rumors of Giannis came out that I have not loved the the handling of Giannis's career from the Bucks. I think they got, I don't want to say lucky because it was a well constructed roster, but almost lucky that they got one with him, or I think he would have won it out before. I think that gave them time for him to say, I want to stay in Milwaukee. And I know he wants to stay in Milwaukee. I know that a lot of those are just rumors. But so far in the offseason, I'm glad they're doing something. I'm glad that let's get to the actual question now. They're doing something. I thought Dame needed to go. I thought the waiving of him was interesting, but my guess is that that probably has to do with the lack of willing trade partners to take on a Dame who's currently injured and his insane contract. Um, and it allowed them to bring in Miles Turner and make some other moves, not on the MLE, bringing back Gary Trent Jr., who's a great role player, great shooter, re-signing Torian Prince, re-signing KPJ. So they're keeping those kind of things intact. Miles Turner, I'm personally a big fan of. I think a lot of people have a lot of varying opinions on Miles Turner. I don't think he's excellent at any one thing, except for defense. I think he's a great defender. But I think he's really good at a lot of things. I think he disappeared in the playoffs at moments this past year. But I really like Miles Turner next to Giannis. because he can stretch the floor. It's not going to be too crowded down there in the paint with Miles Turner playing. But defensively, that's a fantastic defensive front court. Um, I liked getting rid of Pat's salary. I love Pat Connaughton. Shout out. Now the only two remaining players from that championship team are Giannis and Bobby Portis. Um, so here's my thing though. For them, I kept saying this offseason, if they trade him, I'm not. I'll always have a space for the Bucks in my heart, even though I didn't love the way they've handled Giannis in general, and building around him. But I'll always have a space for him, like I do for a team like the Orlando Magic. But if he was to go to a new team, I'd probably follow that team for the upcoming season. Giannis is that's my guy. That's kind of how I operate in the SWBA. I'm a players over my team for the most part. Now college basketball not different. SimWorld not different, or is very different. But that's how I operate. That being said, I think the Bucks need to make a couple more moves for me to feel comfortable. If it's me trying to do something, I'm getting rid of Kuz and his salary, and I want to go get someone else. I'm not a big Kyle Kuzma guy. I don't think they'll do that. They're missing something. There's one more splash I need them to make. I don't mind letting go of Dame, and I love the Miles Turner signing. That's my short answer. Love the Miles Turner signing. I'm okay with getting rid of Dame. Would have loved to find a trade partner, but I don't know how realistic that would have been at the end of the day. So that's kind of where I'm sitting right now. I'm kind of waiting to see how they wrap up the offseason,
Well, I think the Bucks have been. I don't fault the Bucks for their chips to the middle approach. I think that they probably would have been better suited to have never traded Drew Holiday for Damian Lillard. That felt like a just rearrangement of deck chairs on the Titanic. And I don't. It might have been throwing a couple chairs overboard. Honestly, it didn't really give you much propulsion forward, but it just wasn't a move. I think at the time. These are the picks that the first round picks that this team has made, the Bucks, since 2016. Now, obviously, that's a bit of a time ago, but that's how many first round picks they've had. Thon Maker, he was number 10 in 2016. He hasn't played in the league since 2021. DJ Wilson, who they took number 17th in 2017, he appeared in 4 games over the last 4 seasons. Played 2 games for the Philadelphia 76ers last season. Dante DiVincenzo, they hit on in 2018. 2019, Kevin Porter Jr., he's actually back in town. 2020, RJ Hampton, no longer, obviously, that actually was traded to as was Kevin Porter. RJ Hampton traded to the Denver Nuggets. 2022 was Marjon Beauchamp. He's no longer on the team. He's in New York. He played in all of 20 or 35 games amongst 3 teams last season, 26 of them with the Bucks before he went to the Clippers, and Knicks played a combined 9. And then A.J. Johnson, who kind of looked like he could have been something decent, he was dealt away to the Washington Wizards. I mean, he got over there, shot 48% from the floor, 24% from deep in 22 games. But he was at least a piece. This happens with every team, and I think this feels a lot like the Bucks have been making moves to make moves and not necessarily to actually gain traction. The Cleveland Cavaliers have spent this entire offseason being patient, moving out Isaac Okoro to get Lonzo Ball, letting Ty Jerome walk, keeping themselves in a luxury tax situation that they believe is manageable, but they're not off-selling everything. See, it just doesn't feel like the Bucks have done that. It feels like the Bucks have sprung at every move that they thought that they needed to make because it didn't work out the year before.
And I'll be honest, Marsh, I hate to say it this way, but that kind of feels like what they've been doing since they won the title.
If not before.
If not before as well. Like I said, I mean, I was talking about those draft picks, and those were abysmal. As you just read, they've been abysmal. You can even go back to Jabari Parker, who I know was supposed to be good, and just wasn't.
Yeah.
But I could list off a ton of them. But anyways, that's what it feels like they've been doing. The Drew Holiday pick to me, or trade, was that as well. Especially because not only was Drew Holiday a great two-way player, a great leader, but he was the most beloved player in any community ever. In terms of his off-the-court actions, he's huge to the community. So getting rid of him to get Dame always felt like a trigger happy move. Like, ooh, we can get Damian Lillard here, take what you want. And that's what it feels. The only move that doesn't feel like that to me when I sit down and look at it is the Miles Turner move. I still think maybe that move was that way, but to me, there's real value in that acquisition. So I don't know. I'm both frustrated and waiting to see kind of how they wrap it up if they do anything else. The Bucks. So
Can I say that it feels a little bit like the anxiety around the league and surrounding the Bucks, not within the Bucks organization, is much stronger than that from within the doors. Because Giannis is not asked out, but you have this new world of which, well, if you don't win, stars got to go. He's got to get dealt. You got to ask for a trade. You got to move on. And it feels like that mentality has kind of percolated around the Bucks, which, clearly some of it they've made moves to try to acquiesce, but it just feels like at some point, like if they didn't go out and acquire Damian Lillard and just stayed the course with Drew Holiday and instead tried to move Chris Middleton and a first to go get somebody else or maybe get two people, that this team would have been just as well positioned as they are today to win championships. It just feels like they haven't really gone. They just haven't taken the tempered, paced approach. Instead, they've taken the Cleveland Cavaliers approach with LeBron James in the first stint of offload everything, bring in stuff that we think can help us win basketball games. That's what we're going to do. And not the let's just play this thing out. Let's not panic. We have a top 5 guy, top 3 guy. Let's move pieces around him and we'll make something work, and not sell everything to try to get one thing that might make it work. On the larger scale, Siege, what about this offseason has stood out to you, if anything?
the Kevin Durant trade, I think, is a big one. I'm sure that's going to be talked about quite a bit. The whole 7 trade history thing, I don't care. I don't care. That's cool, but
it's a lot of just draft day deals getting dumped in. I'll tell you what, I'll let you finish. That deal was made for a lot of teams to be able to not be at a certain tax limit, is what that deal was. With the new CBA, not to dive into it, the new CBA, if you do a sign and trade as like an outgoing trade or outgoing salary versus incoming salary, how that all matches up puts you at certain restrictions, and that's why that existed. So continue.
The Kevin Durant trade I think is huge. I'll be completely honest. I'm just gonna focus it around the Rockets to start with because they made a lot of big moves. Kevin Durant trade, love. I think it opens their window wide, even wider for the next 2-3 years. And I think their window is going to be fine after that with the young guy. They were able to keep Amen Thompson. They kept Cam Whitmore, who they've since dealt for way, way too low a price, in my opinion. But you keep him, you keep Sengun, you keep Tari Eason, you keep Jabari Smith, re-sign him to a big deal. I think he'll be great with Kevin. I think Kevin Durant will be a great mentor for him. You keep Reed Shepherd. You keep a lot of the bench pieces. I love the move for the Rockets. I think it makes them immediate contenders, in my opinion. Maybe not the top of the contenders list, but it makes them immediate contenders. And they kept a lot of their future. Don't love the Cam Whitmore trade. Kind of wanted the Bucks to go get him, especially if he was being sold for 2 second-round picks. That was a guy I would have loved for the Bucks to make a run at, as kind of another shot-creating scorer who has proven he can put up 30 in an SWBA game. So that wasn't my favorite. The Lakers are quietly making some moves. I know people hate DeAndre Ayton. He's fine. He's not a world-beating center, but he's better than what the Lakers had. I like that move for them. The Heat, I don't know why I have opinions on the Heat, but they're not going to do anything real. I think Marsh, I don't know. I assume you play fantasy football.
I do.
You know that guy in your league who is never okay with just making a fair trade that benefits both teams.
Yeah.
They always have to be the guy winning the trade.
That's the Heat.
Winning the trade. And it's the most frustrating. That's the Heat. That's the Heat. It feels like to me. When I heard what they weren't willing to give up in the Kevin Durant deal, I was kind of like, so what did
it was Khalil Ware, right? That was it. That's the only guy they didn't want to give up.
They didn't want to give up Khalil Ware. They were unwilling to give up. Jovic as well. Who I think he's great, but it's he doesn't get enough minutes there. Give him up for Kevin Durant, sure. I believe I also heard Jaime Jaquez Jr. was not, which I was shocked at that one because
all the guys of value are not available.
No, literally, when the list came out, it was like everyone of value. It was, again, like your league mate in fantasy football who sends you 3 third-round picks and Marvin Mims to try to get CeeDee Lamb. Like, it's just, what are we doing? What are we doing? So now I'm excited about this rookie class, to be honest. I know Summer League is, you don't see a lot, but I'm excited to see the highlights from it. I'm excited to see, more than anything, the fan reactions from it, because I think people take Summer League performances way, way, way too seriously. So I'm just excited about the movement around. I'm excited about new teams. A lot of people are saying this could end up being the craziest offseason ever. I don't know about that, but we'll see.
It certainly hasn't trended in the direction of craziest offs. Like, that's one of the things that kind of bothered me when we started out with, these insiders being like, this is going to be crazy. It's like, you're kind of building this up for it to be a pretty big letdown. Like, you need to be moving, and maybe it happens. Maybe LeBron James does get traded, but I'm not actually that craziest offseason ever opinion if a 41-year-old who complained in a very public way that I'm going to take your $50 million, Los Angeles Lakers, but I want to win right now, in a not so veiled attempt to force you to make moves. You trade that guy, and I'm like, if he was that good, shouldn't you have, not lost to the Timberwolves last season when you have Luka Doncic and LeBron James on your roster? At this point, what pieces are left on the board that's going to make this the most entertaining, dramatic offseason ever? Giannis isn't getting traded. A wave and stretch of Damian Lillard doesn't really qualify. James Harden's not going anywhere. Kawhi Leonard's not going anywhere. Shea's not going anywhere. Like, these guys that you would think would qualify you for this good offseason, they're not moving, Siege. They're staying exactly where they are.
Yeah, nobody's moving.
So Right, so I didn't like that. I didn't like that we started this offseason off by this is going to be the craziest ever. And it's like, not really. Maybe if you included the lottery, Siege, I would say that might have made it entertaining. But I don't know that we consider the lottery as, the most entertaining. Unless, like, the Celtics start really trading and they trade Jaylen Brown for something and Derek White for something. That might qualify it.
Yeah, I would. I know there were rumors about Derek White and Jaylen Brown being available, because if I'm the Celtics, I'm probably stripping everything down. I'm not having this little gap year for Tatum. I might as well, start over. But anyways, it's an off season. It is an off season. So
yeah, an off season with moves.
Yeah, an off season with moves.
Speaking of off-season, college basketball off-season is upon us. Do you have any insider information, anything that's coming down the pipe that we should be excited for, or that you are looking forward to with the SimWorld U off-season?
Well, the first thing you're going to be looking at is you're going to have the commitment deadline at some point. That's always exciting to me. You get to finally see what rosters are going to look like. You can start doing all that. We'll see. We see a lot of new coaches hired. That's exciting me. What I'm really looking forward to, because to me this was the first year that Hoopsteria was as widely televised as it was this year. SimWorld U as a brand is growing, and people are paying attention and watching. Obviously, real SimWorld U fans have always been watching, but it's growing in recognition. I'm excited to see how some of those teams who in Hoopsteria this past year maybe had that blunder, and I believe we talked about it on a former SimWorld Today, how the difference between this and what we've seen from other college basketball organizations in the past who maybe had more teams in the field than what used to be called, some of the younger kids here with SimWorld, you may not know this term, but the mid-majors, where it was so shocking to see higher seeds lose to lower seeds.
Right.
SimWorld U, in the way that it is currently built out, does not have that as an organization. So you're seeing good teams at every seed. You're seeing teams who competed in Power 5 conferences as the 15 seeds. You're seeing teams like Tennessee as the 15 seed. I know they weren't one of the teams that upset anyone, but that's what we're seeing. And to me, that makes a difference in everything. Because at the end of the day, you always want to have a great regular season. It's nice, whatever. But the ultimate goal in SimWorld U is and always will be to get that quad appearance, to get that Hoopsteria title. And so to me, there has to be a shift in how some of these schools are recruiting, training, team building, all of these things, to keep that in mind. That when it comes down to it, just because you're the one seed does not guarantee you the kind of security that maybe it used to in the past.
Mm-hmm.
This is a new brand of college basketball, and so I think what I'm excited to see is we most of those top guys have made their commitments. A lot of the top guys for next year have already made those commitments. A big storyline for me, and not just because of my Alabama fandom, but you've seen a lot of people talk about this crazy class Alabama has brought in next to DJ Child deciding to return. Does it work? It's a lot of guys who like to have the ball in their hand. Is this Alabama team better? Can they make another quad appearance? I think it's a big story to me because yes, they are just as deep as they were before, but I don't think they fixed their biggest issue, which was shooting prowess. I don't think they went and got shooters. They went and got a lot of guys who were great with the ball in their hand and good defenders and star power, but like, did they get spot up shooters? Did they get another Aiden Weaver who can sit and shoot the ball? And that's just one of many teams who I think have holes to address to try and get that ultimate coveted hoops area title. And it'll just be excited to see how things shape out come the new season.
Well, certainly a lot on the line for the Alabama Crimson Tide. They made it all the way to the quad, but still can't quite. Still playing bridesmaid and never the bride. But a big recruiting class will certainly add to that. Kai Killen's chief among them. All right, Siege, we'll be back with you on Monday. Appreciate you stopping in. Appreciate you all tuning in here on SimWorld TV. The only place you can see the game, be the game.